What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, we're joined by my good friend MTG Jedi. How you doing today, bro?
Hey, what's up, man? Doing really good. Thanks so much for having me on.
So let us know a little bit about yourself for any of the viewers that's not familiar and what you get up to on your channel and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess I'm kind of known as like the Faction Wars guru at this point. I really enjoy that game mode and helping people out. So I've been doing a series. I know I had you on the channel earlier this year for a different content creator with each faction. And so that's ongoing. It's great if you're doing Faction Wars or if you just want to know some cool champions in each faction. I know that's going to be kind of our topic today as well.
Yeah.
So if you want like a more in-depth per faction look, definitely take a look at that series. And been working on upgrading the website as well. I was just working on an article today where I'm going to catalog all of the code chase words from the Call of the Arbiter series, so it's all in one spot for everybody.
Oh, that sounds cool. And I thought you might be able to bring me the luck there, but I just went back to back on res on this 2x event. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, guys, what we are going to be doing today is breaking down the champions that we feel are the most underrated from every single faction from the epic rarity. But there's a bit of a harder one and harder element to this because we're only allowed one each. So it really comes down to who do we feel is actually the most when we're put on the spot. But also, guys, we want you to play along as well in the comment section below. Let us know who you feel is the most underrated epic in Raid in 2023. And we also did a collaboration over on MTG Jedi's channel. So make sure you guys hit a sub and all of that good stuff. It'll all be in the description below. But alright, being the guest here, do you want to break down the one from the Bannerlords faction first? Who you really value here?
All right, well, to get us started off here on Bannerlords, some people who have heard me talk about this faction probably know who I'm going to say here, but still criminally underrated in my opinion, and that is going to be Seneschal.
Ooh, interesting choice here. So what do you like about him?
I love this guy, okay? Number one, S tier faction war champion. However, he's super underrated for other areas of the game because of the A1 leech. And if you put the counterattack on himself, then every time he gets hit, he has more chances to place that leech. Now, I think what people get caught up on is this perfect veil and continuous heal buff on an ally. It just goes on one ally, and that makes him seem bad. But what he actually does is kind of like Duchess, where he hides somebody from being targeted. And that is a really powerful thing because you get to decide if it's whoever's in your leader spot or whoever you're choosing. If you manual it, you get to decide who gets to be the untargetable one. And that's really powerful, and it also comes with a heal with it. So I was actually trying to work on a strategy for Hydra where there was no team perfect veil, but just champions who put up perfect veil, like on themselves or on others, and he was going to be a part of that. I never had time to finish that idea, but I think that he's really survivable. His base stats are great, defense-based champion, and he has a really unique kit setup.
Yeah, he's a really interesting one. Like, I've always been a big fan of Lugan in terms of aesthetics, and then when I seen the epic kind of version, I was like, ooh. And as you said, that having an A1 leech can definitely be very viable. And I wonder if any players out there use this as a mischief tanking in the Hydra, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, because you can put that similar to Jizzo, you can put those two buffs on your resistance person, right?
Yeah.
Or you could put it on himself and have him do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Not one that I expected, but I'm actually happy you brought him up. There we go.
Yeah.
For me, it's actually going to be Giscard Sigil, however you say his name. And actually,
please let me clarify this. Yes, okay. The sigiled. Oh yes, I can't. I can't so much. So this that word sigil is like an old word that just means like your symbol. So discard the Sigil. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine. Please
Okay, I've got
continue.
it. From now on, I'll call him Sigil just for you.
Oh, bless your heart.
Sigiled. No, okay, so with the A1 with the Foe Breaker, he actually has a chance of placing a decreased attack, which is always viable, right? Think about the Demon Lord or just bosses in general. You're going to have a lot of value from this. On his A2, he does have a AoE provoke, so if you want to do for waves or for the Magma Dragon or the Head of Decay, very viable here. But also places a shield buff on this champion equal to 25% of their max HP for 2 turns, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So for those enemies that are going through from the provoke, he has a form of protection on him, so he's not going to be getting killed there. On the Field of Strength, he does place an increased defense and increased attack in the same skill on a 3-turn cooldown to amplify the damage of defense-based nukers and your attack nukers in the same skill set, whilst also adding some support for your team. And then this passive here fills this champion's turn meter by 15% when hit by enemies under provoke or increased attack, just further adding to the amount of turns that he can take over the course of a battle. And I don't really see a bunch of people talk about him, or maybe it's just power creep from other options. But I think for many players out there, especially for Faction Wars, you see a great value for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple things. Number one, originally they had that A3 on a 2-turn cooldown, and all of the content creators were like, oh, he's so busted. And then Plarium actually changed him, which never happens, right? We give them feedback, they don't make changes.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the draw to his kit, was that 2-turn cooldown was so strong. And then the drawback to his kit was that he doesn't have 100% chance to provoke. But with how they've buffed that provoke set, I think that he could be a really strong choice for a lot of game modes, especially in a provoke set. Because then he's getting chances on his A1, he's getting extra chances on his A2, and then that passive is going to keep cycling through. I definitely think more people need to choose him and use him on their account for sure.
Yeah, really tanky as well. 1.4k defense, 17,000 HP. Like, he's got a lot of tankiness to him as well. And he looks cool. So maybe a cool one for players out there.
Absolutely.
All right, so next up, we're heading into the High Elves. Who we got here?
Oh, man. I actually think High Elves has a ton of hidden gems right now.
Yeah.
I think that there are tons of epics that should be being used in High Elves that are not. But the one that I really want to start using again is Andria.
I knew you was going to say that from the faction games, right? You used
from the faction games, yeah. And that was basically the last time I used her, and I kind of forgot about her until the other day, where I was like, I wonder if there's another way to remove buffs, and her A3 basically is just a buff removal, like Madame Saris. It also increases your increased defense buffs, which is very difficult to say. But the main thing there is she basically strips. Most of the buffs go up for 2 turns. So when you book her, it's 100% chance to just decrease the duration, which strips them. Unfortunately, she can still get sheeped. I was hoping this was going to be a way to get around sheep, but sheep still will classify for this as well, which is unfortunate. But then her A2 has the stun, and it just 100% chance to stun and lock them down. So, and that is a 2-turn stun if they don't have any buffs. So, like, my thought was to, like, try to put her in Relentless and get her to take some extra turns, make her really fast. I mean, and then the passive part of her kit is what's really slept on. Like, if you don't have Necrit, or Ultimate Death Knight to a certain degree, this is a very Necrit-like ability to protect your team that works really well on an Arbiter team. So I really think this is a champion people need to start using. Again, good base stats. And I need to make more content with her, basically. That's what I've realized.
Yeah, she's really, really strong. But just to clarify for my viewers here, does she work in a way where it's not start of the round, like the second that the round starts, it goes up. You basically have to take a turn in order for this passive to proc, right?
Right. So like that's why I say like she's Necrit like you
Yeah.
want to place her on an arbiter team where you're going first so that she's going to go before the other team and put that up and protect whoever you want to protect.
Yeah, no, she's a really good one. I actually built her up because you used her in the faction games. And
Really?
yeah, I found her, she's really
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wish that there was a skin with this helmet on. I think it'll look good.
Yes. I totally agree.
Okay, for me, it's going to be the only one that I don't have from this faction, and it's going to be
Okay.
Skiramis.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked him.
Yeah, he's really, really strong. And big shout out to Ash as well. He's the one that put me on for this dude. But it's basically on his effortless superiority, attacks all enemies and decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn, and has a great chance of placing a 50% decrease attack for 2 turns as well. Now, this is really strong, right? Decreasing those durations, gonna be good for Hydra boss if you get stolen or just whatever that may be. Enemy waves in Doom Tower can have some universal value. But also fills this champion's turn meter by 10% for each buff that has its duration decreased. Now, if we think about the Hydra once again, and they've got multiple buffs on you in a bad situation, not only are you decreasing the duration of those buffs, but he's almost immediately taking another turn, right? Because of the amount of turn meter fill you're getting from here. So I really love that synergy of this A2. But also on Hold the Front, places a provoke on all enemies for 1 turn at a 100% chance to lock out the Head of Decay hypothetically. But also will place a counterattack and continuous heal buff on this champion for your mischief tanking. And I feel like that value is going to pair very well for teams out there, especially from the epic rarity. To coincide with a bit of a stealing of turn meter as well on the A1 and a chance to place a stun as well if fully depleted. A really strong option, right?
Yeah, for sure. I actually have this guy on my free-to-play account,
Mm-hmm.
and he is up there in terms of who I want a 6-star. I have just like so many champions I want to work on. But I want to just emphasize real quick that A1, because it's with the books, it's 90%, and then you can get the sniper mastery to make a 95% chance that you're gonna steal their turn meter and then stun them if you deplete it. So, like, I think that's a really strong A1, especially combining with the fact that he gets counterattack with the provoke. So his kit, like, really synergizes well together.
Yeah, he's a great one. He's always on my hit list when I'm summoning Shards, and he just never wants to come out for me. But he looks good. I like him. I like him. All right. Sacred Orders. Which one you got here for your underrated?
So, Sacred Order is tough because there's so many epics, and like I probably don't want to use the majority of them, but I think the most underrated one is Romero.
Okay, that's very interesting you brought that up because I did a video of Mad Kappa, right? And he said that Romero very surprised him paired with Juliana. So
yeah. So the reason why you have to pair him with Juliana is because of his A4. He has an AoE that hits 3 times. Like when that I'm pretty sure that's the only no, it's not the only one because Countess Lix has one, but like there's very few abilities that are AoE triple hitters.
yeah,
So whatever gear set you want to put in, like stun, provoke, the new cursed set, like that's really potent. A triple hitter. Especially if they don't fix that gear set thing.
yeah,
But the thing with him is he has good multipliers. So even if you're not pairing him with Juliana, like you're going to be smacking with that A1 a lot. Now, his other abilities are pretty good for a support champion, right? His A3 has the shield and increased defense. His A2 is continuous heals on all allies, but also steals a buff from each enemy. And like, we don't see that type of a kit very often. And since he's such an old champion, I think that people don't realize he was buffed. It was like in one of those patches where they buffed a bunch of champions and he'd been in the game for a while. Nobody really gave him a shot because he wasn't very good. But I think with his new kit, he's strong. He's a good option.
Yeah, one thing that even stood out for me is on this A3, see the size of these book values. It's like
Yeah.
50% bonus shield. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like,
Yeah, really crazy.
yeah.
And he doesn't take a lot of books either.
Yeah.
So your book value is going to be pretty good. Like mostly you're getting cooldowns, you're getting extra damage, you're getting an insane shield value bonus on that A3 plus the cooldown.
Mhm.
I think he's strong. I wish that they would buff Juliana to match him because her kit is just not the best. So you're definitely sacrificing something to use them together. I wish that they would bring her up to the level of his kit and just buff her a bit.
Yeah, I think they did buff her as well, but just not as much as we kind of hoped for, right? In the same.
That's sad.
Yeah, I think they buffed him in the same patch, and it just like they did fix a few issues with like the cooldowns and stuff. Just brought it down to like a 3-turn. I believe it was a 4-turn before, and little stuff like that. But it wasn't like anything crazy.
I mean, her A2 ignores 50% of the target's defense when paired with Romero.
Yeah.
Like, if you got any kind of damage built on her at all, like, I bet that does
Yeah.
good work.
Kappa was telling me, he's like, it was in his I built him so you don't have to series.
Yeah.
This was the pairing that surprised him the most, was Juliana and Romero and their potential. So it'll be fun to actually dive into it ourselves, right? Maybe and just see how they perform.
I might have to work on that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. But yeah, for me on this faction, I'm gonna be going into Sanguina, or how do you say it? Sanguinia. First of all, love the aesthetics. Really unique. No one in this game looks like this as far as I'm aware. But she has a really unique kit in the way with the Holy Bleed, places a block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn to coincide with a continuous heal as well for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. One thing I would change about this personally is going to be, I wish it was a 2-turn block debuffs, not a 1-turn. I feel like it's really hard for specific things. But also on the Sacrificial Lamb, attacks one enemy and has a 100% chance of transferring all debuffs from this champion to a target, whilst also doing a full cleanse on your team in the same skill. And it actually can have a lot of synergy. Like I was thinking maybe hard mode dragon when you're trying to progress, throwing some of those poisons back or debuffs whilst also cleansing your team as well. Could have some value. And then she has a 3-time hitter on the A1 with a chance of decreasing the duration of random buffs by 1 turn. So overall, not the craziest champion in the game, I don't think, but in terms of just overall support and cleansing, if that's what you're after, can definitely fulfill that role for you.
This is a champion that I have never used personally, so that's really cool that you bring her up. She does wreck me in secret rooms all the time, though.
Oh,
with
really?
That A3.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm the one putting up the poisons in the secret rooms. But I think that would be cool to try to use her on Hard Dragon. Great call out.
Yeah, really cool one. Okay, so Barbarians. By the way, what is your favorite faction in the game? I can't
Skinwalkers.
Skinwalker. Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, hands down. Because Leo's my favorite champion.
Oh yeah, I remember you made a whole new account, right? Just because you pulled a Leo or something and made it your main.
So somebody gave me an account with Leo on it.
Okay.
And there were some other great champions too. It was like Leo, Bad Alcazar, and they had like logged in for like a year and just done a couple little things, but like they didn't do Arbiter or Lydia, so I got to do everything, and now that's my main account. So
interesting. All right, who we got from here?
I don't know. I don't like any of these champions in Barbarians. Like, I can't say Fairkin. He's not criminally underrated.
Yeah.
But I would say, okay, no. I would say the one who I don't have, who I really want, is going to be Huskarl.
Oh, that's the one I was going to choose. We could do this one together. So what do you like? What do you like about him?
So I like that his kit is 100% focused on controlling them. Right? Like, he does have this A3 that removes all of the stun debuffs, not that that's important, but he places increased defense and increased resistance. And so, like, I think he's a better example of what our fusion currently should be, right? Like, the increased resistance, like, this epic champion is better than the new legendary. And if she was an epic, I'd be much happier about her existence. But I like that his kit is all focused on one thing. Then you know exactly what his purpose is. You know exactly what you want to use him for. And although I have never gotten to use him, his kit just seems really cool and like it would work together really well. What about you, though? Have you actually used him?
Yeah, I was actually one of the few people that was excited to get Diffusion, like when they announced
Yeah.
it. Like I was a big fan. Even Nagorio actually surprised me. But
Yeah, I
as you,
agree.
it really comes down to what you just said, like knowing what you're getting on the paper. There's not too much going on. It's like simple but effective. If you're looking for stuns and you're looking for support, Hoskul can really bring that in for your team. And he's also immune to stun, very similar to Rorik Wormbane, right? And for some reason, like I actually said this before, maybe 6 months ago, but I strongly believe that the new Hydra head, right, that was kind of teased like when it first came out,
Hmm.
I think it's gonna have a stun mechanic, right? I'm not too sure,
Oh,
but it
interesting.
just seems weird that they brought out an epic that's immune to stun, right? Then they
Yeah,
brought out Rorik who's immune to stun, and they
yeah.
both have weird ways to kind of utilize skill sets around that, but there's not actually a boss in the game that's primarily based on stuns. So it just felt very weird to me.
Could
So
be the new
accessory dungeon,
Ascension. Yeah, the accessory dungeon too. I
yeah,
thought it might be Fear, like
yeah.
with some of the other Fear champions, but I hope they don't change Hydra unless they're balancing the head of suffering. I think it's in a good spot. Don't add more heads. It's in a good spot.
They put
Just
it.
leave it.
They put it at the start though, right? That they said they was gonna add one. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking in the back of my mind, like, prepare for the
Hmm.
worst. Like, what can these?
Yeah.
Because we have to think about missing synergies, right? Like we've had the sleep from the Sand Devils was kind of like a new thing. I feel like
Uh-huh.
ones that's not been really focused on yet. That's what these are gonna potentially bring. So it'll be interesting. But just a little
Yeah.
guess there.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that's it for this faction. We both agreed
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. There's some champions that are usable there, but like, I don't think there's really any other hidden gems.
Yeah. All right, so Ogre Tribes. There's actually quite a few good selections here.
Oh man, Ogren Tribes has gotten just a pile of wonderful epics this year. They're just all good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you've covered a lot of them on your channel as well, so I'll let you take your pick over there. But who I want to talk about is Claude.
Oh, nice.
And I super slept on this guy. Probably because I don't like the way he looks. He's creepy and weird, and I don't like anything about it. He's got like a caged human on his back who's he's torturing and carrying around. I don't like him. But his kit is super good. Okay. I recently built him as a part of my first Ultra Nightmare team on my free to play account because on his A3, he has increased speed. And I was using Apothecary for that before that, but then his A2 has a shield. So he not only speeds you up, but then he puts a shield on you to protect you. And then he has the passive where he's healing people. So his kit really works well together, especially for clan boss, but it also helped me make a lot of progress in faction wars as well, which I guess I didn't even think about. I was mainly focused on how can I help my clan boss team, but I was just really impressed. I thought he was way overhyped when I heard other people talking about him, but
Mhm.
no. The hype is real. If you hear people saying he's good, he is, and you should build him.
Yeah, no, he is. And even just to touch on his A1, that decreased crit rate, it's can be very powerful, right? It's basically mitigates all of those bad crits you can get from the Demon Lord and really
Yeah.
just keeps your team like more consistent to the damage you're seeing instead of that fluctuation over like the course of a crazy long battle, right? But
Yeah.
really,
I
really
need to
good.
get some accuracy on the one I have built because I couldn't get the accuracy and hit the speeds. So that's gonna be my next goal is get accuracy on him too.
Yeah, well, I guess the increased accuracy will help out a little bit, right? So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
the,
So he lands it sometimes.
all
Now
right.
I'm so curious.
Mhm.
You've covered so many of these epics. Which one are you gonna choose?
It's gonna be one that I've not covered so far.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I'm a huge fan, and it's Sea Chalk. I
Oh, okay.
I love this champion.
Yeah, he's great.
Primarily, I'd say for the Dark Fae and Faction Wars, I think he really stands out for me
Hmm.
because he does do a increased attack on this champion for 2 turns, then will attack all enemies. So he's amplifying his damage before the nuke, while it's also placing an AoE drop defense in the same skill. So I love to open up with this in the Dark Fae in some teams. Really, really fun. As it synergizes very well with, he can place an increased crit rate, an increased crit damage, and then attacks one enemy and grants the decreased speed, which can cover the bases in even the Fire Knight. Also, turn meter reduction by 15% if the target is under drop defense or decreased speed, which he does apply in his kit as well. So you're basically going to always have the chance to mitigate turn meter here. And I just like how it's, once again, simple but yet effective and can be used in like a vast majority of the game. And I actually think he hits harder than people think. Like, it's not like out of this world, like, oh my gosh, what have you done, Siege Hulk? But it's enough to grab your attention, I'd say.
Because he might be an attack-based champion, but typically you're using him in like a support control role, right? Like you're putting him on your team for the decreased defense and the other abilities, and then all of a sudden he hits pretty decent too, which is a great combination. I actually recently just built him on my main account, and I was really impressed as well. It's a great champion. I think he reminds me of like slightly different, but like an epic version of Herndig.
Yeah, that's a good comparison there. Very interesting you said that. Like even his abilities, he sends like that barrage of like bombardment, and he just explodes his cannons and stuff. It's really fun to see.
Yeah. Now wait, we can't leave Ogren without giving a shout out to your videos you've done, because you covered Lorne and Seize and Skrank, all three of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are really good. I watched all three of those videos, guys, and you should go watch them too, because all three of those champions are crazy and super fun. They were great videos.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think my favorite one out of all of them would have been Skrank, though. That guy is just... If he was a legendary, I wouldn't complain. Like, I'm not even over-exaggerating. He's so good, and I still use him. Like,
I fed him.
What? He fed a Skrank?
On accident, yeah. On accident, I fed him. I got... Like, this is just like what happened, okay? I mix up Seize and Skrank. I mix them up. So I kept like 3 Seizes and fed all the Skranks.
Oh,
so I'm thinking about opening Voids today to see if I can get Skrank, because I really want to use him. He's super good.
Hopefully you don't get the luck like I got at the start of this video.
Yeah.
All right, Lizardman, who we got here?
All right, so... I don't think that this is an unknown champion.
Okay.
But I actually think that Venomage is top 10 epics in the game.
I actually agree with you to an extent there. So what do you like about
her? So first of all, people can't agree or disagree whether this is a man or a woman. And I don't really care. It's a lizard, right? But this kit is almost like I'm gonna solo stuff in the game. But typically you need other champions to go with it. But I have just been impressed over and over and over again. Like, as impressed with Pythion for Venomage, because I use them together. I have this like these lizardmen I use all the time on my free-to-play account with the other epic Delaja, and they're just like this trio of an unstoppable force, because you get the heal reduction and the poisons on the A3, which can literally just be all of your damage. Like, this can just be all of your damage. You can put a control champion in and poison them, and it's like a little bit slow, but this Venomage can just do all the work. Then you also have decreased defense, which helps you do all of that quicker, decrease attack, which helps you survive, and then the A1, which pops the poisons and help you actually kill everybody faster. So, and then the passive is just really helpful. It's like just a consistent, less damage to all of your champions, and you have that heal reduction up the majority of the time, especially if you put them at a fast speed. I just like super impressive. And the aura accuracy in all battles. I use that aura in like so many different places on my free-to-play account. Like, the whole kit, impressive.
Yeah, no, she's really, really strong. Like, I use her in, at the moment, I use her in secret rooms, faction wars, and never spider team with the Geomancer to place the heal reduction.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
one thing that I really love about Venomage is mainly the passive as well, because it actually gave heal reduction a value in the clan boss, whereas there's not any like even with Vizier Ovelis, right? We're like, oh, we don't want to use him because he's filling up debuff slots. But someone like Venomage actually comes in and says, hold up a second here, you're taking less damage if they've got this on. So yeah, I love how she's unique in that sense, has her own quirkiness, and brings so much to the table for players. So
it's like, this is what I want out of Norog.
Okay.
Like, I know we're not talking about legendaries today, but like Norog in Skinwalkers, like, this is what I want him to do. This is what I wish he did. He does not protect your team as well as Venomage. He just doesn't. And I don't know why. I think his passive is bugged. And hopefully Plarium will look into that. But like, Venomage legit helps your team be survivable way more than Norog does. Like, this is everything I want from Norog right here.
Norog, I think Norog needs another skill.
Yes.
She definitely needs
an additional something to go with it. Like, I think like if you put decreased defense and block buffs, get us a legendary version of Ugo. That would be great. There's a million ways we could buff him. I've covered that a lot on my channel. So, Plarium, if you're watching, just hit me up. I'll give you 20 ideas.
All the ideas for Norog.
Yeah, but who you got in Lizardman though?
I actually had a little think about this one. This one was actually pretty hard for me, as I don't see many of them as underrated, just good in their own ways, or I just don't like them. I weirdly feel like Broadmoor is underrated. Like, I remember when we first came into this game, and all of us, did you start like back when I did, right? Like 3-4 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
This
During COVID.
This champion is like a permanent fusion, and had a very strong kit for us, right? Back then there was like hardly anything for faction wars and stuff. But revives 2 random allies with 25% HP, paces a block damage as well, which is really nice for clutching those 3 stars. Increased crit rate, increased speed. Granted, it is the lower variation, understand, but it's a obtainable champion, right? Like, everyone could get it eventually. On all allies for 2 turns, and then also fills the turn meters by 15%. Really nice synergy here. I like that it's a 30% increased crit rate. And then also a freeze on the A1 for some crowd control. So it's like, it's not the craziest champion, but I feel like many players might be in that situation of, I don't have a reviver, and there's one that's you can get from the fusion, right?
Totally agree. And like, surprisingly, that A1 freezes them more often than you would think.
Yeah. I didn't realize until like recently that you could still keep fusing them over and over again as well.
Yeah.
So it's really good for getting those points for fusions. Like, if you're summoning Void Shards like I just did, right, and you had a few extra ones here, it'd be some points for you for champion chase, right?
Yeah, basically on my free-to-play, what I decided to do was just start keeping those rares for both of those permanent fusions. And then anytime I'm a couple points short, I just, fuse them, and then that'll get you there.
Yeah, it's a good strategy, I think. So if you fuse it, right, there's no cooldown, because if you've done it multiple times.
No, you can
literally just keep running through it.
Yep.
That's a really good take on it for anyone that's got the res out there.
Yeah, I first heard about that from Airbad. Like, that's not an original idea.
Oh yeah, he's got a free-to-play strats.
The free-to-play king over there.
Yeah. All right, so win your favorite faction. Do you feel like you're at home right now? You're chilling? Look, you actually look on my screen right now. You're exactly in the place to be a new champion. Look, filling up the spots there.
Oh, perfect. Put me in the game. Put a lion skin on my face.
All right, we'll put Leorius just for you there. Look, there we go, just to make you happy.
There we go. Yeah. Awesome.
All right, so who you got here?
My viewers would tell me to pick Scabrius, but I hate him, so I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick Basher.
Okay.
Because I have actually seen a surge in people using Basher in arena modes. Now, you do have to be careful. He has a wonderful increased cooldown ability, similar to like Warlord or Yumiko, but it's only by 2 turns. And that sounds like a long time, but if you don't kill them within those 2 turns, then they get all their abilities back and then they kill you. So you do have to be careful with it, but this is an epic version of one of the best abilities in the game. He's great for faction wars also. If you need somebody to like help control in the waves, but I usually build him defensively. Like, he's an attack-based champion. His base stats are not good at all. So I usually do like HP percent gloves and chest, or like an accuracy chest or something. I build him as like a support champion, not an attack-based champion. And if you're using him in other content, like his A1 weaken 75%, which is really nice. And then I always wish that it was at AoE block buffs. Like, this is my push in the game lately. Plarium, we need AoE block buffs. Like, way more. There's like 5 usable champions, and most people don't have them at all. So, but his kit is nice. It's kind of a little all over the place, but his kit is good, and all of the parts are good. So I think that more people should be using him in more places.
Yeah, I've actually spent years on this game, and I still don't have a basher. So I'll let you know how he is once I get one. I think he's the only Void Epic I don't have, apart from a Kemptum and some of the new ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Really interesting. I haven't pulled him over all these years. But funnily enough, the one that you mentioned first was the one that I was going to choose.
Skiramis! Oh, jeez. My viewers will love it. They'll love it.
Man. I actually don't see how he's so bad, because
he's gross.
He does look gross.
He's gross. That's the only thing. If he didn't have rats wrapped on his arm, dead rats, I'd be fine with it. It grosses me out. I can't do it.
Oh, you got a rat phobia.
Yes. Other than that, his kit is cool, but tell me why you like him.
So he's got that weaken, right? Really nice. Places an increased attack as well for 2 turns if the weaken is placed. I like that synergy there, amplifying his damage and stuff. But also, a leech on not only a single target, but an AoE. So for players that's building in for Clan Boss, I like how it can bring universal value to place leech elsewhere as well. And I'm always a fan of, like, if they get replaced, they're not useless in a sense. Also, A1, chance of placing a 5% poison. Does what it does on the paper. I just wish that it was maybe a 2-time hitter. Each hit has a chance of placing it to get out some more consistent ones. But overall, like, even this, the damage increases by 20% when attacking enemies under poison. I just like the synergy, simple but effective, and can be used in a bunch of places and bosses. So I like Skiramis.
And like, you can put him in a toxic set if you want. That will help place more poisons.
Yeah,
he's got good multipliers. I do have a video on him on my channel, because I had a thing where I let people choose a champion for me to max, and they know I hate him, so they made me max him. But he is good. Like, he's a good champion, and I feel like that's a good call out.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when we head into the orcs now, I'm actually very intrigued to see who you're going to choose. Is it going to be Shaman or...
shout out to our collab on my channel. You should go check it out for the Shaman. Who am I going to pick here? I would say the champion that I've been using the most lately is going to be Trumbor.
Okay, interesting.
And Trumbor, to me, his kit is weird. Okay. And at first I was like, this champion's amazing. I love him. But I actually think that his kit is a little bit awkward now that I've been using him so much, okay? Because you want to use him probably as an ally protector, right? Because his A3 has ally protection and increased defense on himself. But with his base HP at only 18,000, it's a little bit difficult, especially on an earlier mid-game account, to get his stats where you want them to be. So what I ended up using him for is a little bit of protection. You know, the ally protection, increased defense is nice, but I actually really love the rest of his kit. I run him in a toxic set, and he has a double hitter on the A1, which we'll get back to the A2 in a second, okay? And the way that gear sets work right now, he can place 2 poisons on his A1. So, like, I have been using him in all different kinds of dungeons in a toxic set, and he'll just place 4 debuffs to poison, weaken, leech on the A1 consistently. So as long as the gear doesn't change, I mean, I don't know, maybe it changed
I
in this
think I
patch or
think I
whatever.
think they were changing it for this patch that just dropped like yesterday or
Okay.
today, so it might not
But
be. Yeah.
even if he only places one poison, that's still poison weaken leech on the A1.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be every single time, but it is pretty consistent, especially if you're getting counterattacks or ally attacks. Now, his A2 is really interesting as well. He has a mini cleanse. So what he does is he removes a debuff from each person on your team and then buffs his own damage. So I basically use him as like a support secondary damage dealer where he can remove these debuffs. He's got decent damage built in, and then in a toxic set, he just like does all of these interesting things together. And then his passive is really interesting too. He has a 20% chance, 40% with books, of decreasing the duration of all debuffs on himself by 1 turn. So he removes debuffs in multiple ways from himself and just keeps himself really healthy and supporting your team.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting that you brought up how you've been using it. Like, it starts to think for me in Clan Boss, maybe you can use them as a way to cleanse your stun target in a way, have block debuffs for AoE 2 or whatever that may be, and then just use this to cleanse it after the stun happens. And then
Right.
using this to just have the weaken and the leech, and maybe pair it with like a single target drop defense, like a Tyrell or something.
Yeah.
Can actually have a lot of value for players.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
He's really good.
Just I wish that this ally protection skill was a little bit weird because I remember Deadwood wasn't happy that he chose Trumbor for the Clan Boss draft. And I think it came down to this weirdness of the ally protection, 4-turn cooldown, and not an AoE increased defense.
Yeah.
Like, it could have just had the same one as Jareg and it would have been completely fine, right?
I agree.
All allies, so.
I agree. And it makes you think that it's the same, but it's not the same. It
Yeah.
works different. And so that's why he's not as good of an ally protector. Like, you don't want him in that role. Like, I know I have Pythion, and that's kind of like cheating, but I've just used Pythion instead, and he's a much better protector than Trumbor.
Yeah,
But the
for
rest
sure.
of Trumbor's kit makes him really cool, though.
Yeah, I'll give him a shot. I'll see how he is. Like, I always get mixed up with Tango and Trumbo all the time. It's like, but yeah, for me, it's gonna be Mr. Old Hermit Jorg. I'm a huge fan.
Yes. Yes.
Bit creeped out by these massive hands. I wonder who those are. Like, I wouldn't want to get punched in the face by one of them. But
Yeah.
I always look at him like a budget arbiter in a sense, in a weird way, because of the heroes of old. Plays an increased attack on all allies for 2 turns and fills the turn meters of all allies by 20%. And we actually spoke about on your channel as well with the revives. But basically revives 2 random allies of 60% HP, fills their turn meters by 40%, and places a perfect veil to protect them for 2 turns. And I always love that synergy of that form of protection upon revival. It just gives them that way of getting back into the fight and not instantly taken out once again. So overall, I'm a big fan. And he also has a HP burn on the A1, maybe for players that don't have any other burn options. He can fulfill that for you as well.
Yeah, I love the HP burn on the A1, actually. It's super helpful. Great champion there.
Yeah, I think a good place for him was I was helping somebody on their account and he had literally no burners, right? And we used him for Soar the Ice Spider, the Frost Spider.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a really good option because he's bringing the turn meters, he's reviving them, and he's placing the burn consistently on the A1 to stop the Spiderlings from respawning and stuff. So,
yeah,
really cool option there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're getting down into the bottom 2 set of factions now. We got the Demonspawn, the spooky ones. What do you like about these dudes? Which one?
Okay, for Demonspawn, I'm gonna choose a well-known champion.
Okay.
But I'm gonna make a case that everybody should be using him. Okay, so I'm gonna say Magnar here.
Okay.
And everybody knows that Magnar is an HP DPS, or most people know. Okay, but my argument is that Magnar is better than the majority of the nukers on people's accounts. Unless you have the absolute S-tier champions like Leo, Georgid, Baron, Magnar's better than everybody else. He's an epic version of Trunda, and he hits harder than like 90% of the nukers that people use. Like, I don't tell people to focus on Yannica anymore. She has a great single target, but Magnar is better. He is way better. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm doing 3v3 takeovers on people's accounts, I'm putting a Magnar in their team. Because he is so survivable. You want to stack his HP. Like, I have 90,000. Wait, let me back up. Magnar is the number one nuker I use on my endgame account. Magnar is my number one nuker. I use him every single day, and I don't use my other nukers every single day. So
That's interesting.
he is just, yes, he is just way better than people give him credit for. Like, he should not be sitting in your vault. You should be building him. He's so, so good. You don't want to put him on a team with HP burn. You want him to get the 2 hits on his A2. You don't care about any kind of accuracy on him. It's unimportant in every way. Just stack him with damage, crit damage, and HP, and watch him outwork every other nuker on your account.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy you brought him back up. Like, for me, I feel like everybody knew the value and still knows the value that's been around for a while. Like, he came out as part of a fusion. Everybody had a chance to get him, so there was a big hype about it. Used in arena all the time. But maybe for some players that's coming in and pulled this dude might not know the value of him. So, as you said, probably one of the best, if not the best, epic nuker in the game. And I was a huge fan.
The best epic nuker, period.
Yeah.
The best epic nuker, period, and better than most legendaries.
Yeah, because he's so tanky as well. It's like, it's hard to kill at the same time as dealing a bunch of damage. So,
like, I'm not trying to, like, boast or anything, but this is the number one question I get when I'm streaming. Because I do, like, arena fights while I'm streaming. Everyone always asks, what is your Magnar build? Because they just see me wrecking team after team after team with Magnar, and he really is that good. And I also have him on the free-to-play, use him there, love him. He's good at every interval of the game.
Yeah, and to top things off, he looks sick. I love him. I love the aesthetic. Yeah. So for me, I was actually stuck between 2 here. I feel like I've spoken about, I'll briefly mention it, Skimfoss. I think he's an amazing champion that so many players are sleeping on with all of the terminator manipulations, transfer effects, decreased speed, you name it. But I've mentioned it a lot on the channel. For me, I'm gonna pick up Nazana here. I think Nazana is a really good option for a bunch of players because I don't think everyone knows that it's a 3-turn cooldown ally protection and a shield on herself in the same skill set. And the value is actually equal to 40% of this champion's max HP. And as an ally protector, you want to have those forms of protection, and 40% is actually very valuable here because of her base stats not being too bad. So,
and her base HP is almost legendary level.
Yeah, 21.5k, that's like really, really high for an epic, and she's an OG. But also, what I really love about Nazana is opens up the opportunity for stun sets, the provoke sets, you name it, because it's AoE abilities on both of her active skills. So Diva and active, both AoE. And she brings in a decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown, which might not be ideal for Clan Boss unless you have like another option to help her out. Maybe like a Brigade Sergeant, one that springs off the top of my head.
Yeah, but she could be like a backup.
Yeah. But overall,
that's a great choice.
I think she's a really nice champion for players like to beat. And even if you don't want to book her up just for some support in like rank 50 in the faction wars, could definitely have some value.
I think she can be used in Hydra too. Like with the new curse set the way it is with Hex, I'm real excited to test champions exactly like this in Cursed, putting up that Hex and then doing everything else that their kit does.
That could be very good for her because she does the decrease attack as well. So it'd be nice to have that coverage of both things. So okay. Undead Hordes.
All right, Undead. Undead is like awesome or terrible, and like is so nowhere in between. I'm tempted to mention Balthus because I do love him.
Okay.
But I think less people will use Balthus because his abilities are so narrow. Like Secret Rooms, Faction Wars. Who I really want to mention is Dark Elhain. Because every single person gets Dark Elhain. And she is sneakily a very good champion. And I think because she's free, a lot of people just like want to skip over her. but I have a couple people in my Discord who tag me regularly, like wrecking high-end arena with multiple Dark Elhanes. What they do is they go and target the Torment teams on purpose, and then the Dark Elhanes nuke them. You can
Yeah.
just build them similar to like your Blender style team with like super slow, all the most attack that you can put on her, crit damage, and she actually smacks. She actually smacks. And a lot of people, like, they ask me, like, what do I do against Torment? Not as much anymore with the addition of like 20 Void Legendaries this past year, but there's still tons of people who use Torment all the time. And she's a great counter to that.
Yeah, for sure. As I was actually somebody that was sleeping on this champion for a long time as well. But you are perfectly right. Like, even for, I've seen the Dark Fate situations where you force the freeze as well, and then you go through, kill everything, decrease speed. There's a lot of value for her, right? Even in, there's some of those freeze waves in the Doom Tower. So there's many times you're like, oh, I need a champion to counter this. And it's just one to have on your account maxed up, right?
Yes. And also, recently somebody told me that they were using her against the Scarab because her A1 destroys max HP.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good pick up there. Okay.
I don't know if that's like the best use of her, but if you need that, she can do that too. Especially on the...
That's actually true because she does bring a decreased speed as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I actually forgot about that destroy max HP on A1. That's very useful.
I know, I forgot about it until it was brought up to me recently as well.
Yeah. For me, I actually really struggled with this faction. In terms of, because I value a lot of them very highly.
Yeah.
For different stages of the game, right? Like, they might not be good end game, but I feel like, but one that actually surprised me the most would be Lich.
Okay.
And he's obtainable from the Raz Infusion, and I don't kind of tell players to skip the Raz Infusion, keep your Lich. I would never recommend that. But what I will say is, on my free-to-play, I was really struggling to get to the stage 20 for the missions for Arbiter, and I'm nowhere near Razin yet, so I've got him up to rank 50, fully ascended, he's fine like that. And it's for this one-trick pony ability with Innovation.
It is.
Decreases the target's turn meter by 100%, and places a 30% decreased speed for 2 turns in the same skill set. And this does not need any books, there's no buff values, it's just going to happen. Granted, you've got the accuracy stats. And that's pretty much all I'm using him for. And I'm using him in Fire Knight, got through the spiders like that. He's been a godsend for the free-to-play, so I love it. But also some increased defense in there, some heals, and decreased accuracy.
Fun fact, you can fuse the epics for Rosin multiple times too if you never fuse Rosin.
Yeah. See, for me, I summoned the Lich, right? I didn't actually kill the res, but yeah, that's a good tip to maybe get a spare one.
And also, you can cheese faction wars. I did a team a year ago with 2 Liches and 2 Stitched Beasts. Stitched Beasts is a rare.
Oh, yeah, he does it as well, right? Does tell me.
Yeah, it was 2 Liches, 2 Stitched Beasts, and a Seeker. And nobody ever got turns on the waves. Nobody got turns on the boss. And it took like 15 or 20 minutes, but I definitely cheesed it. So that's definitely a possible strategy if you're real stuck.
That's fun. Yeah, Stitch Beast is a really good one as well.
Yeah.
All right. The Dark Elves. Here we go. I'm interested to see your pick here.
Dark Elves. Okay.
Please don't say Warden, because the video's going to finish. He's my most hated champion in the game. My
Warden?
God. Yeah.
I wish he was good, but he's not good.
I can't stand that guy.
He's not good. No. I'm going to go with Spider here.
Ooh, okay, I didn't see that one coming. Spider.
So I did a takeover recently where they had no options for decreased defense champions. And so they had Spider in like every team, and it got me using him because that was the only choice. So I also had to use him. But it's not that his kit is great. It's fine, okay? Like, you have a chance to remove buffs on the A1. You have a decrease attack that's not even 100% on the A2, you know? But his A3 has decreased defense 100%, and then has a high chance of also placing weaken. And I like that it's place. There's no attack here, so you can't weak hit. which makes him usable in more areas than what you would think. Similar to like what's the HP burn? Mordecai.
Oh yeah.
How Mordecai places it, that makes him more usable than if he would be an attack. So I just like, not everybody's going to rely on him, but he is a really good option.
Yeah, one thing that I've always noticed about Spider was his aura. Like,
Yes.
speed in dungeons by 25% is a lot. Like, when we consider the early game, you're coming through dungeons, just simply putting this guy in the lead position to outspeed the bosses or the waves and just trying to progress a little bit. You can even just have him there, just chilling in some nice sustainability, drop the fence and weaken. It'd be nice. Yeah.
Exactly.
I will say, like, Raid, if anyone's watching, I would say take this down to a 3-turn. Maybe give this a 25% weaken or just a higher chance. Maybe it'd be valuable.
I agree.
For me, Lua, probably the most underrated epic. I'd say top 5 underrated epics in the entire game for me. I think
you're gonna have to convince me on this one because I have never liked her.
All right. So the thing is about Lua, are you aware of her multipliers?
In my mind, I always put her middle of the road.
Yeah, so basically, she's got godlike all around the board. I'll quickly bring it up now.
So what you're saying is that she does not have middle of the road multipliers.
Yeah, so basically, she's got a 2.7 godlike on the single target, on the A1. And then she has a 1.4 godlike on a 3-time hitter, which is very rare, by the way, in this game. There's not a lot of these on this as well, 1.4 per hit. And then she has got, wait for it, a 6 multiplier on this ability here on a single target, which doesn't only just smack, but decreases the target's turn meter by 100% and ignores shield and it ignores block damage. Now, one thing that players always come to me and say is, I struggle against Helicath. I struggle against Owlsgore Crimson Horn. I cannot get through block damage. And this champion can go through and not only break the block damage, but go through the shield that's protecting them as well. And I feel like it has a lot of single target value for players as like a one-trick pony. But away from that, think about Spider progression, the Dark Fade, maybe killing the mirror copies and then leading into turn meter reduction. There's a lot of value from Lua that's just not being looked at by players. And a really good one.
All right, I'm definitely going to have to look into her for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. Like, I remember when I first got her, the value was insane because I didn't have a cold heart back then. And she was the first one that can like fully deplete a turn meter on my account. So
yeah,
I've always liked her since then.
Awesome. Well, you
right.
want to go first over here on Knights Revenant?
It's Revenant. This is actually one that I was really struggling with, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, I can go first if you want another minute to think here.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that we all need to start using Whisper more.
You're like, I've had on Saf. He loves Whisper. I had my Kappa on. I already said that them two have to fight it out and go on a date with her together. Now we're gonna have to throw you in the mix. So all 3 of you are gonna have to go on this date with Whisper.
I'll be honest. I heard it from them also. So I was just like trying to find, interesting champions as damage dealers. And I think that the single target heavy hitters for Hydra is something that people should be doing more. Like, most players don't have the AoE damage to take down all the heads at once.
Yep.
And that's where your AoE damage dealers, really shine. But if you're taking down one head at a time, which I think that's what most people are doing, like that's what I do on the free-to-play, she's going to come in and just, like, crush the stump. Now, I don't, like, have her on the free-to-play, and I haven't, like, built her out on my main account yet. But I think that this is a really viable damage dealer for Hydra and can also help out in certain boss killing situations as well. Like, this is a champion that gets a lot of extra turns, places decreased defense and weaken, has a really strong attack-based kit, really strong multipliers, and I think that she's pretty easy to build.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I was sleeping in it for a while, but I promised Kappa that max her up, so I'll be doing just that. But did you remember back in the day, they actually switched their picture around? She never used to look like this with the avatar on the Whisper.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
she used to look completely different, and then they changed it up. But
yeah.
underrated, like, why am I really? I felt like I could come into this one and not feel like underrated would be a problem, but it was definitely one.
Well, it's just like so many of
Okay,
these epics are not good.
yeah. So the one that I'd be going to is actually Golden Reaper. Is this somebody you're a fan of, or
No, no,
no?
I hate this champion so much. So please tell me what you like about her.
What it comes down to is I feel like speed is really hard to get, maybe for early game players, right? Just
True.
beside your head, it says a 111 base speed, and that is up there one of the highest in the game. Like 111 is impressive, right? But she places a 30% increased speed on all allies for 2 turns, whilst also boosting their turn meter by 20% in the same skill set on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, I'd say the downside is she doesn't have a speed aura for like some
Right.
other champions, but we can find them from various places, whether that be some other champions or epics or legendaries. But just having this form in your team is going to drastically change the speed race if you're going in those situations. But also, does attacks all enemies has a chance of placing decreased attack, and then will decrease the turn meter of each target if they're not under decreased attack. Sorry. So yeah, we would love it to be like both at the same time, but it's more of a one or the other thing in a sense. But
Yeah.
also attacks one enemy and has a chance of decreasing the cooldown of one random ally skill by 1 turn. And I feel like this is very interesting. Like, let's just say you're in the Doom Tower, you're just using it for the speed and the turn meter fills, you're getting some decreased attacks out there, manipulating turn meter. That's good in itself, but decreasing the cooldown of random ally skills could be the difference between winning and losing some of those harder waves, right? But yeah, interesting one. Maybe just for faction wars, but I feel like for progressing, Arena could have some value for sure.
And I guess if I'm trying to stay positive, she has 111 base speed. So that's pretty ridiculous.
It is really fast. That's literally, if it wasn't for the base speed, I'd probably think like she needs some form of like better aura or something, but the
Yeah.
speed makes up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so I just went back into Night's Revenant. We're going into the little people. We got the dwarfs.
The dwarves.
Yes.
So many good epics here, I think, for sure. I don't know that we need to talk about Morag more, but if that's who you're choosing, I'll happily talk about her. I think that I want to point out Grizzled Jarl
Okay.
because I think he's a really, really good champion. I was thinking about using him again recently because he has an increased defense and a block buffs that you can tune really well for clan boss. The increased defense is 2 turns. The block debuffs is 1 turn, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So you can have increased defense up and block debuffs in the same ability, and then he can help out with the decrease attack. He also has a destroy max HP ability on there, so if you need help with Scarab, he can do that also. And then the A1 early game, maybe like the Spirit Keep or something like that. If you need that heal reduction, it's not 100% chance, but like I think that his base stats are pretty good, and his kit is just hard to come by.
Yeah, no, he's a really simple but effective kit, and it's like even with the clan boss draft and stuff, we're like,
Yeah.
ooh, who has increased defense and block debuffs from the epics? And
Mhm.
there's some good ones, but not as many do as well as Grizzled Jar, maybe Sepulchre Sentinel or someone like that. But yeah, there's some really good option here.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I actually just want to bring up Rockbreaker very briefly.
Awesome.
I really like Rockbreaker. I think he's probably a top underrated champion from a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
maybe top 10 for me. Because the way that he can just do you know, very similar to the Hospital, you know what you're getting from this dude. He's placing a provoke
Exactly.
debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. A 100% chance, you don't have to worry about that. But also places a counterattack on himself. Now, why this is very effective is, has a 50% chance once booked of decreasing damage inflicted on this champion by 50% each time he's attacked. So in a hypothetical scenario, you're provoking the enemies, and then using that passive, he's just going to get more tankier, right? The more he's
Yeah.
attacked. And I really like
Yeah.
that synergy there of decreasing the damage. But
Yeah, it's
also,
good.
attacks one enemy increases this champion's defense by 4% each time the skill is used in a battle and stacks up to 20%. So from all of those counterattacks you're going through, increasing his defense, making him more tanky. I'm just a huge fan of him. I like him.
Yeah, he's good. I totally agree. There's a Hell Hades did a plat run with EPICS back in the day, like when he first started, and
Yeah.
this Rockbreaker was on his team. But
Oh,
super
really?
clutch.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. This guy's super clutch for faction
I
wars. He's just really good.
I will say he's one of my favorite champions to put like the frostbite or the free sets on. Really,
Oh,
really cool because when he's doing the provoke, everyone's attacking him, but he's getting tanky
hmm
at the time. He's freezing everyone. So
love it.
it's a really cool synergy for some provokes out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, Shadowkin, we got to bring out the swords. There we go. It's just a natural thing. Can't help it. Oh my god, what's going on? Oh, there we go. All right. So who are you enjoying here from the Shadowkin?
So I think that there's a lot of good choices for Shadowkin. I just want to mention that Negorio has really good multipliers.
Yep.
And I think some people could use him. I already have a Genbo built, my free to play, and I'm thinking about also building Negorio. Like they tag team the damage really well, especially in faction wars. But the champion who I'm gonna go with here is Umitogi.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that one
Yeah.
coming. All right.
I know, okay, and she has a very specialized use, okay? I'm not telling you that you should go start using her in a ton of areas of the game, but I love this life hack for faction wars with her passive. When she's attacked, it completely blocks one hit, putting the damage to 0, okay? So, like, this faction is hard. This faction is very hard to beat. And she's like a little cheat code because you don't need a 6-star her. You can put her at level 50 and then you can trigger her passive on the boss and then heal her back up and then trigger it a second time and then kill the boss. So I really like this champion. She has really cool kit. I've thought about, again, with that perfect veil idea for Hydra. She puts a perfect veil on herself and an increased speed and then buffs herself. She's very selfish.
Yeah.
So you might be able to build her as a mischief tank. She's going to get the perfect veil to help with like the torment head. And then like, I don't know, the rest of her kit is kind of not good, but but the passive and the A3 I like a lot. They're very interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I like that passive. I can see how that's helping a lot of players in the faction wars for sure.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to guess who I'm going to say here before I go into it?
I literally have no idea. I'm gonna guess Fenchi.
I was going to say Fenchi.
Okay, so I was
He was close.
Okay.
It was my second one I was going to think of. It's actually Soy Ren. I'm a big fan of Soy Ren. And she's. Do you know how we got like the Fanes in the game and champions of that caliber? I feel like she kind of fits into that, but also brings that universal value because some of it is AoE. Because she can be used as simply, if you need an AoE drop defense champion, she can fulfill that for your team. It's not 100% chance, which I agree is not ideal. You want consistency, but it's relatively high. 80%, 85% with sniper, pretty decent here. But when you consider also having a 2-time hit of each hit having a chance of placing a weaken, very valuable for clan boss or just bosses in general. And then an A1 that each hit has a good chance of placing a 5% poison as well. So she's bringing in drop defense, AoE, or maybe just for the boss, weaken and poisons. Simple but effective, brings in so much utility and hits pretty hard as well. So I'm a huge fan of Soyren. I like her.
I think maybe she could be a good budget option for like the Mythair clan boss team.
Yeah.
Because you need a force DPS for Spirit Affinity, and her kit is really nice for clan boss.
Yep, really, really underrated. For like even in that team in particular, was one of the ones that gave me that feeling of, force DPS, really good option if you don't have those Fushans or Razin Scarhide or whoever you want to be. But it's a nice one. It's a nice one.
Yeah. All right,
But
well, I know before we even click on it, I already know who I'm picking in Sylvan Watchers. Do you know who I'm gonna pick?
I don't even know who I'm gonna pick. You're gonna pick.
You
Eh,
know. You
oh,
know I'm definitely talking about Dudan today.
oh, you okay? Okay.
So I need to explain to people. I need to do a video on this. I really do. I picked Dudan in the Hydra draft, and I didn't take him out of my team because he was bad. He
Mm,
was amazing. I took him out of my team because Terrace is busted, and I didn't need more support. I
okay.
needed more damage. But when he was in the team, he did something really incredible. Okay, the the mischief tanking ability on this guy, he's one of the best in the game. Taunt, strengthen, counterattack on the A3. He puts buffs on himself that other people don't get. Nobody has the taunt buff. So, and then 3 buffs is like the perfect spot for your mischief tank. And like that taunt buff, it doesn't do what you want it to do. Like, I wish that it counted as the provoke.
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's stupid, and Plarium should change it because people don't use taunt right now because of that.
Yeah.
But if they change it in Hydra so that that counts as provoke, for not getting all your buffs cleansed, or your debuffs, I mean,
Yeah.
this ability is just so good. It's so good. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown, so you can keep it up consistently. Really good. But the thing that I didn't realize about him was his A2. Okay. Number one, it's an AoE, which is nice. You can squeeze in extra damage from gear sets. But he puts a shield buff on all allies, 15% of his max HP, which I know you like. And then here's the key: increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. You don't even need books. It's always on a 4-turn cooldown, so you want him going as fast as possible. My sweet spot for him was over 250 speed if you have the kind of gear to do that.
Mhm.
And boy, was that impactful. Because then you can basically keep up your 3 buffs on him 100% of the time.
Mhm.
And then his A1 is nice, okay? He has like a little mini possible cleanse. It's like a fake Doom Priest in your team when that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I do wish that raid one day changed it so the head of decay could be taunted or provoked.
Please,
It would
yes.
change a lot of things because there's a few coming into fruition from the Sylvans, like but the other
Yes.
ones, Ruark, someone does it. Yeah, there we go. Grimwood and Ruark
Yeah.
does it as well. So
Yeah.
if they're gonna start implementing things like this, they need to be thinking of these Hydra teams as well to have some
They do.
impact.
I agree.
For me, underrated wise, man, it's like
I mean, I think they're all underrated other than Ornn. Maybe Ornn and Ruella. Like we haven't just used these epics. They're all so new.
yeah. I'd probably, if I was to go into one, maybe I like Wirren on the Silken. Probably one I
I
think
like
is going to
that.
be valuable because she's got a speed and faction wars, 20% aura. We know that we're
Mm-hmm.
anticipating that in the next couple of weeks, so looking forward to that.
Yep.
But revives a dead ally. It's actually the only reviver that's an epic from this faction. We've only got
Correct.
one from the legendaries as well. But she does, what was it? 50% HP, 10 meter field, places continuous heals. It's really nice on a 4-turn cooldown. She does filling of 10 meters for all allies whilst placing an increased speed as well. Big fan of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then a
Yep.
decreased attack single target for maybe the boss itself to reduce damage. So
Yeah.
yeah, really nice kit. One that I'm
Yeah.
looking for, especially when I'm summoning, because I'm not sure if you can see my screen here,
Yeah.
but it's looking bleak. We're struggling.
Mine's similar. I don't
Yeah.
have Kellen, Lochwain, or however you say her name. What do you say it?
Which one?
The one you just talked about.
Oh, Wirrenon.
Oh, Weiranon. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna have to try to remember that. Yeah, and we talked about her a bit in the Revivers video on my channel as well. I think she's a great call out. Everybody wants a copy of her for their faction war team, unless you're like a baller endgame player.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
you
But
snuck on the Leo on the screen here.
yes, but MTG, it's
Yeah.
been a long one. It's been like this might actually be my longest video in 2 years, potentially. So,
Okay.
well, I guess we could be a part of that together. I guess like someone's gonna have to come
Same.
over
I
and read
mean,
this.
the one we did on my channel is my longest one as well. So
Yeah.
got a couple firsts here, but it's been great. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, anytime. And guys, I will leave MTG's channel in the description below. He is very knowledgeable about the game, has a bunch of free-to-play content out there. I definitely consider you guys to go and subscribe there. Anything you want to say here before we wrap things up?
No. I mean, I appreciate you having me on. I'm always trying to do new, fun, interesting stuff on my channel. Looking for viewer ideas. I like making videos on stuff the viewers want me to make it on,
Mhm.
and I'm just having a really good time lately. Really enjoying the game. Hoping Polarium's going to take us in a strong, player-focused direction in the rest of this year in 2024. So.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, on that note, if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and have an amazing rest of your day. And catch you guys on a video soon. Peace.